Hi, Patricia.
Hi, Sandris. How are you?
I'm good. It's my pleasure to interview Patricia Martinez, new music composer from Buenos Aires, Argentina. And what is good musical composition for you?
What is good composition? This is very difficult question, because I don't think that we can say music is good or bad. I think maybe we can connect with some music or not. We can have different relationships, but say that it's good or bad is like be a judge and say, oh, this is not good, or yeah, this is good.
But this, but what is good for you, right? For you, or with what kind of music you connect most frequently?
Most frequently, what while I hear?
No, most frequently, what kind of music you connect, right? You said that you have an idea of
yeah. I don't think it, I am not very fluent. I am not about the classifications, kind of music, because I feel like each word is something particular, even if from the same composer. I think each word has his own history, his own way to be. I don't say I cannot say something, but so general. Maybe I feel more that sometimes I'm surprised about something, and this is something unexpected, and I try to not be very with a lot of prejudgment in my mind and say, oh, this is what I for me is good, or this is not. I don't.
You said that that for you, as I understand, surprise is important thing, right? Music surprises you, right?
Yes, but surprise can be for many different things. But yes, it is something.
True. And my question is, what was the last piece which you have heard that surprised you?
Last piece. Let me. Well, I can say that there was a concert a few months ago, a virtual concert of electroacoustic music by a Bolivian composer that I don't remember, but I was very surprised about this work. Yes, I was shocked that in a good way, like great, excellent. Like it was something very unusual on his way to.
And maybe
but I forgot, but I forgot now. If I say the last.
Yes. Can you just a little bit elaborate what surprised you in that piece?
In that piece, surprised me that it was totally not following any kind of official ways of electroacoustic music, like, I don't know, concrete music, electronic music from Germany or something like that. It was totally something very refreshing and maybe personal. I like that. And maybe this is something that for me is kind of in the good box.
Yes, in the okay.
Being personal, yes.
Yes, got it. And so, what is? What do you think? What is, let's say, your musical signature, or some musical thoughts or questions which you use more frequently, working with, right?
I think if we say, if you ask me about what used frequently, it assumes that somehow that I decide that. And I think for, maybe not just for me, but for most of the composers, we cannot really decide. We are also expecting what is the project that we can do. If this is possible, this is not. It's not just a decision of what particular instruments. But I don't know, that was my, finally, yes, there was some time we can say, okay, many times we brought for this instrumentation or for that, but I prefer more open-less instrumentation, but usually it's not possible. Usually there are more fixed kind of ensembles.
Do you think you have some kind of signature, or each your work is still very different, right? Completely different.
Yes, I think it's very different, but even if it's different, I don't know, but some people say, yes, I can hear, even if it's different, I can hear something that is you, but I don't know if this is something that I can say about myself, but I don't know. I try to reborn for each piece, to think really what I need for this, even if it's not something that I never explored before. That I like very much to go like a swimming pool, like a
Yes, yes, yes. And how do you think would your music would be different if you would live in, let's say, in Germany?
Mm. I cannot say that. It is difficult because I don't think that it depends. Maybe there are other factors, but not particularly the place. But the place also is important about, okay, why I am composing this or this, because there are some project particular for that or that. Or that is something that also environment is very important, but not particularly for the ideas. I think that.
Yes, yes. But regarding sounds, let's say, or it's somehow, let's say, some kind of sounds or music which you hear in Buenos Aires, does it somehow influence your music, your musical language?
I hear music in many places, not just in Buenos Aires. I think the influence is everything, but it's everything, and at the same time it's anything, because it's not that something is very like, oh, I hear this and it comes this, that. No, it's very, and then,
Yes.
and it's not very related, but also we are also something, our experience, something that comes behind us. So everything is also something that in some way is apparent in my work or each work of each artist, I think. Yes.
And in your works, do you somehow, I don't know, comment situations or let's say, what's going on in Argentina? Do you refer to, let's say, to social situations or some stories or?
Yes, sometimes, yes. That's, but not particularly, but I have a word about some political issues in Argentina, and that is totally related, yes. But it's not a general situation. I cannot say something repeatedly.
Yes. And would your music would be different if you would be a man?
My life would be different if I was a man. And my music is part of my life, yes.
Yes.
Cool. Yes. Unfortunately, life is very, very restricted to women. At least now it's something kind of little by little changing, fortunately, but it was really, composition was a very, very machist and very not friendly for women.
Yes, got it, got it. And your musical language, do you think is like more, like, let's say, feminine or masculine?
I don't like this classification at all. But why is feminist and why is masculine? That is something very, but no, I feel I am myself. Even if I was a man, I would be myself too, but it's not something because of me, it's because of society, because of what is our culture is going on. It's not something that I decide about that.
Yes.
But even that, we need to go ahead. So continue on. It's life.
And what's your process of composition? How you start, and what are stages you go through till premiere?
It depends of the project. It depends of the work. But for example, some projects has more time because there are more steps of productions, and also we have exchanges with other artists. Sometimes when we work with collaborations, or sometimes I only work by myself, or sometimes it depends. Also depends of the deadlines. It's something, but I don't know, maybe composer's life needs to be more freedom.
More freedom.
Yes, but we are not.
What do you mean? Can you just explain where you don't feel freedom in your composer life?
Because we are attached to deadlines and to specific particularities of this project. It's not something that we don't decide everything. Even at least if you are not involved with the production. That I was doing that when I was younger, and that was really killing me, and it was not really good. I was not really, I don't know, healthy for composers. Yes. At least for me, it was crazy. And I don't know, I don't have also a rule, because there is not rule in this life at all. Any rule, anything, and you go, okay, I follow this way, and no, we cannot say anything.
Mm-hmm. And can you just go through your last piece which you composed, all the stages, right? How you started with idea or with some kind of sounds in your head, and how you and what was the next stage you go through?
Last piece that I composed, it was for the Lucerne Forward Festival, and that was a commission that was a few months before the concert, so it was really faster, and we had to finish in 2 months a piece for 12 musicians, and it was really, really challenging. Also a site-specific work specifically for the KKL Lucerne. It was like a very, very complex. And also the idea of the work was something that I was experiencing really, really deepest this last year, that was working with the Chinen Chikun, Chinese healthy practice, like a Tai Chi. And this piece was related with something about this practice. It was called feel. Mm-hmm. And feel means the chi field that we can create with a connection between consciousness with people. And I try to translate somehow that to music. Mm-hmm. And was very, very, I think, kind of magically for myself too, because it was like working with material that are not really only acoustic material, but also with energetic things, how we can create a kind of levels of energy with sounds, like a tool and not like an end. The sound, music is something, but at least it's not. It's kind of this sense of paradoxical meaning all the time that Chinese culture use a lot. And I was kind of try to focus a little bit about that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And what was the process, right? You start with some kind of conceptual idea, or how it was in that piece?
How was the idea? Sorry,
yes, how you started, right? You started with some conceptual idea and...
Yes, conceptual idea, yes. Yes, for me, it's very important to know what is this piece about, what it will need, what I can be connected with this piece, what I need the musicians. It's not something that that is not meaning at all. For me, I need to understand, I need to know, but maybe not just rational, maybe just also like a kind of sensible connection with the piece. It's like a start at a relationship.
Yes, got it.
Yes,
got it.
something that we build this like a new.
So it's some kind of emotion, right? You start with some kind of research, right?
Yes, I did a lot of research about the concert hall.
Yes.
Also the particularities of the place.
Yes.
And I try to expand the most significant things that I found there, like the possibility to work with silence and the extreme silence that usually is not possible in any place because there is always some kind of electrical noises and noises from everywhere. But this was particularly different.
Yes.
Another thing was the possibility to work with specialization of the musicians because they was looking particularly about changing traditional concepts of concerts.
Yes.
And I also tried to deconstruct this idea. Another thing was something that was I was trying to do, but finally it was not really, because there was not enough time to rehearse, and some things was very good and some things was like, okay, we need more time to get, but because I worked with sounds that they are connecting with all musicians, but there was moments where the score is just like a trigger. It's not just that they need to follow exactly, but just as a trigger, and that needs something more physical connection with the conductor and the musician. It's not just like they are counting or following, and that was something that it needs to develop, I think.
Yes. So understand, right? There is some kind of concept which you started, then you go into site, then you establish, like, you thought about different kind of relationship with place, musicians, tradition, etc. Okay, and what next? You already start to write music, or it was?
There is time where only thinking. When I start to write, okay, all this thinking is what like a maceration. I don't know how the English word when you are
already finished, right? So you just write, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, something is clear. You go to a point of some kind of clarity.
Yes, got it. So it's like, and then this process when the music emerges in your head, right? So it's like internal voice, right?
It's natural. It's music like it's working. Okay, until moment. Okay, now the piece is it's like you are maybe cooking a bread. Like when the bread is okay, I can eat now.
And
something like that.
And are you like, I don't know, do you use some kind of censor yourself, or you critiquing yourself in that process, or you're saying, okay, this doesn't work, and so please, I don't know, please my head, bring better music, or there are some kind of the process of, I don't know, of challenging yourself, or dialogue in your head?
I think yes, but sometimes it's not just rational. Sometimes it's just a moment when it appears.
Okay.
It's not something that you can dialogue like. Sometimes it appears in a dream. Sometimes it appears in a meditation. That's something, because for this piece it was about something kind of meditation, so it was also related. Yes, but I think writing is something. It's like a very hard, and I would prefer not to do it. I would prefer to have a cable that go into my mind to the musicians, but we need to write, unfortunately, and this is some kind of process, in a way, bureaucracy, because we need to do this thing to exist in the world, and we need to put out that. So writing is necessary. But
and in this process, do you use paper, or paper and pencil, or you use some kind of software?
I use computer software since many years, like about 15 years, I don't know. But before I was writing by paper, but then they say, no, we need to use computers. Okay. I spent many years suffering with Finale, and I still suffer. So it's our karma.
Got it. So it's like, so the process of, let's say, process of gathering information, right? Of process of, let's say, gathering rules or restrictions, and then it's a lot of what's going on, and then you convert this information, which is very creative process in your head, and that turns into the scores, right?
But
something like that.
It's not only in my head. I think creation is something, in a way, maybe difficult to perceive, but it's collective. It's not just, it's not a composer, something that, oh, I am the hero. No. It's a way, it's a kind of canalization, I think. Yes. Also, it's something that we need to connect. It's not so rigid, like, oh.
Can you give, this is very interesting remark. Can you give some example of that?
I don't know, but some examples.
Yes, of the canalization, or you said collective, right? As I understand that somehow.
For example, yes, the piece before this one, that was also a piece that I wrote about a poem of a woman that was murdered by her husband, because I wanted to use, and that was also political questions. Yes, you asked me before and I say, no, but this is another political. And for me, it was very important to connect, very empty myself, not putting my own ideas. So try to give myself space inside of my, I don't know how to say, but it's not just me. I say try to be honest with what I need to do. And I was connected with this poem. And for example, the music was very difficult for me because it was very exposed, very something that I say, also was for a concert in German. I say, they will kill me. I say, this is very not German. But I say, I was question myself. I say, okay, I cannot put me to define what the piece need. I have to try to let the piece speak by itself and say, okay, I delete myself. I only do what I say I need to do. And then it was good, and I was happy because I decided to not to put my rationality like a barrier, like a stop at this, and yes.
Got it. Got it. And what's your relationship with all colonization thoughts in music?
With colonization?
Decolonization, sorry, decolonization, you know, when you want to like, in some, let's say in some South American countries, I have interviewed, there are composers which are, let's say, at least there are some kind of discussions of that they need to some kind of match or rebuild like music tradition what was, let's say, before colonial times.
I think we are still colonial all the time because we are not decolonized at all. We have the monetary fund from the United States telling us what we need to do. Unfortunately, we are not really a free country because crisis is very difficult here. Latin America is very problematic, but now in Chile there is a hope because a left president was elected recently.
Yes.
And that was something.
And what about music?
What?
Is music still colonized?
No, my music, I don't think this. But I was questioning. I just said that I was questioning because I am not like I am not like but finally I say life is too short. I cannot continue telling what I am not like
Yes, yes. So that there was some kind of thoughts, right? That let's say you have experienced the thoughts that your musical is too Western or too American as composer.
I think in Argentina, in Argentina, Buenos Aires, particular, there was a big tradition from professors years ago that there was a lot of influence about, I think, more European traditions, like kind of post. Also from the tradition post-cage, and there's a lot of traditions here that from outside. But I don't think that I never follow top this or top this. I know I at least that is what I think. But maybe you hear and say, oh no, this is this is
But yeah, your musical heroes, right? Do you have musical heroes?
Okay, I don't know, maybe now, no, I don't know, but I had, Monteverdi was one of my heroes.
Yes.
But it's very far away. All later they are very far away, the rest. But also when I didn't come from a family with musical education at all. I didn't have opportunities to connect with like non-commercial music when I was a child, only. Yes. But I wanted to study music, and when I started to study music at the conservatory, and then it was like I started to improvise contemporary music without even know what contemporary music was. And that was very something that makes me funny to me, because I say, okay, many people suffer. So, oh, contemporary music, oh, suffering. And it was very happy and very enjoyable for me was that experience. But later I say, oh, okay, this is this, this is this, this is this. But even if we can connect somehow some aesthetic for this or these other ones, I think there are particularities that makes difference. And sometimes on these particularities are the beauty or are the magical relationship with this music or any music.
Yes.
Because if we can hear just with a catalog in our minds, it's not, we are not listening, we are only classifying, and this is not really nothing very attractive.
Good, good. And how your music changed during last 10 years?
10 years. I think even if here in Argentina it's not possible talking about professionalization, if we want to be composer, we need to be professional, and this professionalization is not just in Buenos Aires, it's connected with everywhere. It's not, we are working for our country most of the time because it's not possible. But this professionalization is something that develops in time, and this is something good because we can also be more concrete with projects and be more concrete with ideas. So there is less wasting of time with things that they are not going to anywhere. So we can be more, or I can be more focused. I can be more.
Good.
Yes, like getting older and learning something, but yes, I think all the time, I am learning all the time. I don't think that only 10 years, but my whole life. Yes.
And what kind of, let's say, technologies do you use most frequently? What are like free technologies which you use, whether in composing or in your pieces?
Technologies. I use a lot of electroacoustic music, even if there is also instruments. I like also the expansion to the surreal reality that can make electronic sounds that sometimes is not possible to go further with instruments, even if we can do extended techniques and blah, blah, blah. But, yes, I don't think I don't imagine separate technology from music instruments, acoustic music instruments, because I feel very connected. I imagine music with all these sonorities and all these energies together. Not something that like a foreign thing that I need to add technology. No, it has to be. Yes. Sometimes there is a limitation because there is not possible to amplify, and also I cannot use that, and so as a limitation, external limitation. But if I can, I used to use a lot of video. Yes. If I have time to do, because I like very much video art and how to relate real image with also this kind of parallel reality that 2 dimensions of image can also add to the staging.
Yes.
Because for me, it's very important, the staging.
What do you mean by staging? What do you mean by staging?
How the music is performed in live, how we think the stage as a fundamental part of the work. Yes. Because I don't write on my music only notes. I brought a lot of instructions about how it has to be, how the music has to move, or how they have to some kind of reaction or some kind of emotion. There is a kind of multiplicity of instruction, not just sound.
Right. And what kind of softwares you use the most, right? Do you use
software?
Yes.
I use the Finale for writing, for suffering, and I use for video Final Cut, and for sounds it depends, but like Ableton or Amadeus Pro or
Yes.
I don't know, it depends.
Yes. Do you consider yourself as multimedia music composer?
I don't know, sorry, but I am so bad. I don't love classifications, but the thing is, if you say multimedia composer, it means that there is possible to compose for one media. And I don't think that when we create music, we are composing only sound. Even if you are composing like acousmatic music where there is nothing more than sound, yes, even that, you are also putting this music in a space. And this space is something external to acoustic sound. And we have to take care of that in relationship with the audience, with the experience that we're creating music. So composing is something expanding to some, I don't know if we can call multimedia, transmedia, interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary, blah, blah. So all these kind of names, but I don't know if I am answering your question.
So as I understand, right, you don't believe that music is only sound only.
Yeah. So if I say there is multimedia, you can say, okay, there is, I don't believe that when a musician write only a score with notes, there is all the music there. I think they are all another aspect of the music that maybe this person, this composer, is assuming that is also inside of a conventional or a historical convention, but it's losing something that it has to be inside of the composition, but you decide or not, like really take care about that. But even if you decide not to take care about that, you are denying something that there is inside of the work.
Yes.
I don't know if I can.
Got it. Yes, got it. And when you start using videos in your pieces?
When?
Yes.
I remember I bought a camera. I don't know if it was 2001. No, maybe 1999, something like that. I said, yes. Because in that period, also I made a film, a long film also with music, like a video art film, but about an hour. Yes. Also, that was very focused on video. Yes. Mm-hmm. But each time I am not really so much now, but sometimes I use. Also, I editing all videos in my works, and I creating all visuals for my works when I put on YouTube, etc.
And what's different? Let's say what's different when you compose works with videos, and let's say only like with instruments. What's different from composing perspective?
When I use video or when I don't use?
Yes.
So video is a visual aspect of the work. Even if I don't use video, I am very interested about I don't like the word to control, but finally it's some kind of control that when we are composing and telling this is what I need to do, this is what okay, yes, but to compose also with a visual aspect of the work. So there is always something about that, even if there is not video. There is another way of visuality.
Yes.
Visual.
Yes. Yes. And how this visual aspect? How this visual aspect, in which part of stages, right? This visual aspect plays the biggest role. Let's say when you do research, or it's already somewhere there, it's all together in your mind with sounds it goes, or you add this visual later on, or
it depends, but usually it's all is something all the time. It's not that from one side is music, from one then I add. No, it's very related. It's at the same time.
Yes. What do you think? What is the biggest differences between, let's say, music?
For example, in this piece that I mentioned before about the poem, that was a music theater. Also, the visual aspect, as there is not digital image, there is only musicians, but they have to particular movements, particular, you can call choreography or something, but it's not really that, but at least maybe it is. So, but the thing is, sounds. I cannot, the thing is, I cannot even tell about sounds, because it's how the music, and the music is the consumption of these particularities and aspect, maybe languages, or maybe ideas, but sometimes it's not only acoustic sounds. That's something that I just thought.
Yes.
But it's not, yeah.
Yes, got it. And what's to your mind is difference between, let's say, musical theater and theater?
For me, all the time is music theater. But the thing is, sometimes in most of the theater, they also have the same problem that I just told you with the musicians, that historical denying of the naturalization of not thinking about that. Okay, in theater, it goes at the opposite. They have naturalization that there is exceptions, of course. There are many people from theater, they are very aware of sounds, and they work with sound of the actors, and sounds of the music is also very connected with the scene, but it's not the most general situation. Usually there is something that, sound is something that is better, something that has to be at the end, and so okay, though, like a very, how is the work? Like, now my English is a little bit slow, sorry, but not really with a fundamental presence.
Yes, got it. And what's the difference between, to your mind, between let's say music, which use video, and multimedia art, which it chooses both video and sound? Where's there is difference?
Yeah, usually, of course, there are exceptions, of course, but usually when we say multimedia art, there is many language, but there is not any particular language, like that is the conductor, and it's strong. It's like a kind of thing that, okay, many things together, but anything is like, okay, they are a solid construction in this or in this aspect, or it's a kind of, but sorry, I'm so bad, but this is also something that we need to reflect also aesthetically. Yes. Because if not, it's only a window of techniques, or a window of, this is something new, or this is something, but for what? Why we need this?
Yes, got it. And
but I think also it's something growing. So multimedia from the beginning, the decades. So now it's, I think, hopefully better.
Yes, 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 yes. And it's understand, right? When you compose this multimedia pieces, you do all, right? So you are creating videos and or scenography or choreography, right?
Yes, usually yes. Sometimes not. Sometimes if I have collaborators, I like to have collaborators also, but it depends. But usually for short pieces, I work by myself. But again, I don't feel like this is a multimedia. I don't feel.
Yes,
but for me, it's composition like this. It's not.
yes, it's just extended music, right?
Yeah, maybe yes. Yes, I feel that this is music. Yes. Or art, I don't know, but yes, I think I cannot deny that I am mostly.
Why you think so? Is it not music? This is very interesting, right? You said right? You said it's music, and then you, for 3 seconds, you thought, and then you said, okay, maybe art.
Yeah. Because we are very close. We are in boxes, close with boxes. That go, oh. But it's true that there are a lot of specializations because people that come mostly from, I don't know, for example, for visual arts, they say, okay, you have to be stronger in this aspect, and the other aspect are like a maybe kind of constellation less strongest, but I don't know. It's difficult to tell that in terms of theory or say, oh, this has to be like this. I think it's most important to think about each particular work, what is necessary for each project.
Yes. Do you think these borders will remain? Let's say in 20 years, we will still say this is a musical piece, or we'll say no, this is just art?
I think art has a lot of connotations very strong in our culture. That for that I must say that it's music.
Yes.
But it's not possible also to talk about things without any connection with what is in our minds and in our history, and for that I prefer that.
What do you fear as composer the most?
About what?
What is your composer fear, right?
Fear.
Yes.
To be forget.
Why? It's this is very interesting. Why to be forgetting?
Because I think music is something that can live forever. I think. Yes, I think even if there are a lot of music that there was lost in history, somehow in a moment when they are also recovering and also there's a kind of I don't know. Sorry, I try to find a word in English. Say, but I cannot say. So some kind of justice, like, okay, this has to be as a part of the humanity, because I think that music is like RX of the humanity in a way. It's something that we can also look through this. In that way, I think these are, no, but not art, particular visual art. So art as a capture of the essence of the humanity as a human beings, and
yes,
as a true our true self.
Yes. And why do you still compose, right?
That is, this is very, very funny because sometimes when I stop and I think, it's crazy, what I am still doing this, it's too hard, it's too suffering, it's too difficult, it's too, why we keep, but I don't know, I feel that in a way, music makes me, how do you call the thing when you are in the sea and you go and you keep the things to not go down in the ocean?
Swimming, right? You are on
floating.
Floating. You like?
Yes, the thing. I think this was personally it makes me have a sense of life and also business.
Got it.
And I don't know.
And how during this century, how changed music landscape, new music landscape in Argentina? What are the biggest changes?
This century.
Yes, this century.
Argentina. Well, it was very significant that the strongest influence of this older school from external countries are less and less predominant. I think there are more space for freedom in a way. Even that, I think we still need more independence, like connected with the colonialism before. But I think it feels. In Argentina, there are other problems that are also stronger things that also affecting directly music. That is the lack of political for music. There is anything. This is something very difficult for people, composers, or anything, but especially for culture. Yes.
Can you explain why and how it influences composers?
Because, for example, we have one of the biggest theaters, opera theaters, and the seasons are only for operas from European, from the canonic composers, foreign composers. They are not. There was a lot of work to get the first law for music. That there is a law that they say any programmation has to be at least 50% of Argentinian music, but there is not following by any of these governmental theaters, and this is something totally absolutely affecting, because this is not commercial music. This is not something that we can hear in radios.
Yes.
We need also support from politics and organizations.
Got it.
I don't know.
So one thing you said, it's more, let's say, all this the colonial thoughts, right? How to separate music from and how to empower local musical traditions. And second, you said about this political influence, right? Or lack of culture policy. What else? Do it like, let's say, more. Do you see more new schools or new programs where you can learn?
So that is something that was really, really shocking as an advance, because there are a lot of new programs for music in conservatories and universities. There are a lot of possibilities to learn. Also, Argentina has the possibility to learn for free, because the people, is the public, the education is public here. But the thing is, after you finish your education, there is not any way to be professional at all in this country, because there is not any kind of nothing. Everything is like a. But it's also a problem because of the most difficult people to get organized is composers. We are not. We also are the problem, because it's difficult. I was trying to do that many years, and it's very difficult. I don't know if we can get finally something. I hope so.
So you run some kind of composer association, right?
Maybe.
And how audience change, right?
Yeah.
Is it change or not during this century?
Yes, it's true. I think I think internet changed a lot the way that we can hear, because it's more difficult that people, and now with the pandemic, it's all now is everything changed again at all, but it's difficult to know exactly the way to connect with art differently, because now everything is faster. People are going like, okay, cell phones and everything, how to change, how to move your mind to really be focused in something that put you in a different place, in a different way to interact. And I think, I don't know, I feel like I'm older, because I say how to reconnect with this, because it's not that we are going to a further step that, okay, this is the superation, okay, this kind of faster connection is better. I don't think so. I think we are losing. We are going to, as we was with the pandemic, in a critical situation, because we don't care about our environment, about what happened with our life. We also don't care about different things, and art is a part of the same problem. I think we are, but I think also art at the same time is the way to filter or to do a little space, a little hope that things also still are a bit of something that can be better. Yes, I don't know. It's
Got it. Got it. And do music do more and more composers, let's say in Argentina, do they use more multimedia or more technologies than they did before, or what's your observation?
Yes, I think this is something that now is not really, now it's very common. Also, because of the affordable or the more approachable to the media. I remember when have a computer, you can only use a computer for sound if you were at the laboratory, but now anyone can have I don't know, with the cell phones, with the computers, but even that, I think apparently it's easier, but it's still difficult to be really personal with any of technology as if we were an acoustic instrument. It's the same. It's challenging.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And what do you think? What is
sorry, I am talking about the cities because there are places where technology, even they don't have nothing. No, and Argentina is a very big country, and now I am talking mostly about Buenos Aires, that is a big city, but it's not the globalization is not really, it's not really true because it's not the reality for all the places.
Got it. And what do you think? What is the biggest future trends where like this new music in Argentina goes, right?
I don't think that we can talk about new music in Argentina because I would expect that they have the place that they deserve in programations and in theaters and places as we say for cultural policies and blah, blah, blah. This is the way that I would like that it would be. Yes, but I think that is the most important thing, I hope.
Yes. And the last question, what do you think, what is a new music role in Argentina society?
Sorry, how music, new music?
What is the new music role in Argentina's society, in Argentinian society?
Grow. So sorry, I am very slow. What do you mean, grow?
Role, you know? What function it has? Or...
Role. Yes, sorry. It's the Zoom. The Zoom is a filter and I cannot, I can't imagine. Okay, role. That is a very, very tricky question because it's very difficult to get a role if there is not possible to have a real presence in the culture because there is not a real presence in general public. The most of people, they don't know even that we exist. This is the reality, but it's not only Argentina, it's everywhere.
Yes.
New music is a minority, and this minority is not only because people sometimes doesn't care about what the audience needs or not. There is also a problem because creators, they don't sing, or maybe also this music is related, and also there is a victim of all this kind of lack of support that we need, blah, blah, blah. So the role is, I hope it will get the role that it deserves. That is also, as I tell you some before, as a kind of mirror of society, as a kind of place where, because that is very interesting because many people, for example, literary people or plasticians, they are people very professional in their own fields. Also, they don't listen at all. It's difficult because sometimes their music is for musicians, and this is not the idea. The idea is really to expand, and I think it's also something that we have to be conscious composers as one of the functions for our professions. Mm-hmm. Yes, I think this is something that we need to really focus.
Yes, can you explain what do you mean by conscious composer?
Because sometimes I think historically, when you go to, for example, to study composition, usually the professor teach you, for example, techniques of writing, but being a composer is not just your relationship with the writing, but also what happened after that, what happened also between that, this writing is not only abstract that you need to decide what to do just because something external. Also is something that is directly connected with also with audience, and what is this really connect with imaginary and collective imaginary. And you are also adding something to this imaginary, and we need to be aware of that as a part of our work.
Got it. And at the end, what would be your advice to young composers?
What? Sorry, I cannot hear too much.
One advice for young composers, right?
Advice. I don't know. The only advice is don't lose your passion, because it's difficult to preserve that with all things that.
Got it. So thank you very much.
Thank you.